when you talk about scaling, a lot of people don't know this. In order to scale, you need to increase your revenue. For every 100% you increase your revenue, you should only increase your cost by.
Welcome again to the Prime Mover Podcast, where we ignite the engine of your success in faith, family, finance, and fitness. Join us as we explore the power of being a prime mover in both your professional and personal life. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Prime Mover Podcast. We have a very special guest here. His name is Scott Rammage. He is the owner, operator, founder of a company called Hire VP. I will let him dive into all the intricacies of his business, but we're gonna deliver some really good content right now. So if you are in the blue collar trades, regardless of what industry you really want to tune into this episode, you are going to get tremendous value. It's actually going to reframe the way you think about hiring, firing, onboarding, personnel, task-oriented things that need to be done in the business. Scott's friendship has changed my life, which is why he gets a free pass to be on this podcast. But his business, his mentorship, his wisdom, and his ability to, we take pride in our businesses about nursing relationships and making sure that you nourish a relationship along the way. And Scott's a freaking expert at that. And so I want to introduce you to him, Scott Rammage, Hire VP.
What's up, gentlemen? Yeah. Super blessed to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. And I get fired up when I get to talk about cool things that positively impact or can positively impact the business. And my goal is just to kind of make sure that I do that for your guests today. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start by, again, we reiterate the purpose of our podcast. And I even today looked it up with old Webster just to make sure my, how can I say that? My version of the definition of prime mover is always accurate. So by Webster's dictionary, it says an initial source of motive power, such as a windmill, water wheel, turbine, or internal combustion engine designed to receive and modify force and motion as is supplied by some natural source, which would be a fuel source, and apply them to drive machinery or drive the project forward. A self-motivated being that is the source of all motion, the original or most effective force in an undertaking or work. That is by Webster's dictionary, the definition of prime mover. We like to say, hey, we show up first, we get the ball rolling, we get started, we keep the train moving. What does being a prime mover mean and look like through the eyes and life of Scott Rammage?
Man, I mean, that definition is really good. And if you take it out of the machine world and look at through the eyes of a business owner, we have to be the prime movers. I mean, everything, it's an old saying that the tide rises all boats or whatever it is, but really the rising tide, we have to be that rising tide. How we show up every single day, no matter what our mood is or no matter what's going wrong and what's going good. And if you're a business owner, a lot of times we feel like what's going wrong is a lot more relevant and prevalent than what's going good. And so as a prime mover, I have to be that person that the entire team sees. And it's a lot about vision casting, talking into the future and coming to the table with reality and clarity. I just have meetings with my team this week. We started early. We're like, okay, hey guys, I know the last 2 weeks have been an absolute beating, but here's what I see. All of these things, what they're equating to. So for me, I'm pouring, gasoline into the engine that makes them run, because what I've learned is that If you haven't read the book, oh wow, The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy, like we really have to look at how far we've come rather than how far we want to be. And a lot of times if you operate in the like, I want to get here, 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 we're actually demotivating our own team. My company name is, you guys might get a kick out of this, is Media Machine. That's the overriding company. And it's because I started this company. I have another brand, but I started it as like, we build a media machine for our clients. They do an input, and then we create like this machine in the background that's producing content and doing all of these things. And I learned early on that what I bring to the table is exactly the direction that the business is going to move. So I believe that we are that person. And the business will rise and fall on how we come to the table, whether it's bad or good. There's days I'm having really crappy days, but I tell the team and I tell them my action plans, how I'm going to get through it and how we're going to get through it together, and then how this is going to grow us stronger.
Now that's really powerful. I think I want to go back to something you said in the beginning. Is you talked about being the vision caster, the leader. I call it the offensive coordinator, depending on what it is, what analogy. Your team. I believe everybody on your team, when you're at the top of the org chart, whether it be 1099, whether you be a CEO, whether it be even a W2 team leader, if you're at the top of an org chart and you have to move your team, the language, the analogies, the similes you use to explain where we're going, how we're going to get there, it means a lot. So I got a lot of grown men that work for me, a lot of them sports fans. So I use a ton of sports analogies.
Yeah.
That's why I said offensive coordinator, because sometimes you just need to dial it back to something super simple to where they can understand, and the language and the sequencing that you use to communicate a vision to your employees has profound power of how you can leverage manpower to get tasks done, to motivate people. So I would say, I want to talk to you about this. We have a great mutual friend, Doug Mitchell, who loves EOS, and I love EOS, and I love the things about EOS. And we're going to get down into the weeds here shortly about books and things like that. But long way of getting to my point is, I had a mentor that once told me I was struggling with the EOS implementation. I got right out of the gate, I did the test. I'm like, all visionary, baby. All gas, no brakes, no curbs, no checkpoints. Let's go straight to the moon. Nobody's stopping me. Well, the way I interpreted EOS to mean for me was that I needed to get out of the business, get out of everybody's way, cast the vision, make it plain, happens to be in the Bible, and then get out of everybody's way, learn to support, delegate, nurture. And I don't believe that that's all correct in what makes the business move forward. I think that mentor said, you're the CEO. The root word of that is executive. The root word of executive is execute. Execute means get stuff done. So I don't want you talking to me to get off in the weeds about dreaming on an island, being a visionary, writing these plans. You still got to get stuff done. How you do it and who you use to do it is totally different. So I would love for you to talk about, because I know you are visionary and integrated. I don't know what you score, but I know you're both, and Nick is both. And so through those eyes, what does that mean? Like, when I want to step up to CEO, how do I get out of my own way? How do I get out of my own people's way? How do I become a chief executor, but also be the chief vision caster?
Wow, this is a really great conversation. Something super relevant for me right now. And I have implemented EOS over the years. And there was a point where I implemented EOS so well in one of my brands that I had a business partner who convinced me. I later found out he's just lazy. He didn't want to work. But I had a business partner who convinced me that I really shouldn't be working more than 5 hours a week. And we had built we'd implemented traction EOS. We just were all in, and we had an operator, and we had all the things moving, right? And this is not my instinct. I love to work. I love to make the needle move. I love to make things happen. And but I think he was feeling guilty for not working a lot. And so I took on that persona. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this a try. I literally worked about 5 hours a week, and I went mountain biking all the time, took my wife on dates, was more engaged with my kids, but I'd already done all the work on being really engaged with my family and creating those things and putting those in place. And I'll tell you what, that life on the beach mentality is usually pretty much certain death for an entrepreneur, internal death. I was the 3 months that I did that was the most friction, some of the most friction I've ever had in my life. And because I lacked like meaning, or like, what's the big thing here? Why did I create this business? There was a lot of other work that had to be done, but we're the gasoline. We have to be. And right now I'm at a place where I've hired, I was telling my mentor, I'm like, I work about 15 hours a week. And then the rest of the time it's actually work. I'm networking, talking to people, being on podcasts, doing the stuff I really like to do, but I can get away with 15 hours of work week of work super easy. And I'm one hire away from that being about 5. And that's really cool. But then what we do is, the more we release those things, the more in leadership roles that we get to play, and the better leader we get to become. And for me, I've started to look at it in a totally different mindset. It's not this fallacy of escaping your business. Why the heck do we want to escape our business when we've worked so hard to build it? Because somebody out there is painting a picture of this is what life is supposed to look like as a entrepreneur who's made it, is go be on the beach and check your laptop every 3 days and just kind of pull a string here and there. Well, the truth is a lot of us aren't wired that way. God did not make us that way. And I actually went through a biblical and still in a biblical like mentorship group. And there's a lot of biblical verses. There's a lot in the Bible about what we do as providers and how we work and how we are made to work. And that gave me so much freedom. And now I just am so in love with the work that I do. And that completely translates to the team, because they see that and they're not equating by hours or effort. They're looking at my vision, my energy, and the way that I'm leading. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I believe that before you really jump into EOS, or you jump into the belief that a few hours a week is the goal, you really have to dig deep inside your soul and see what you're made of, and see what really makes you tick. And like, look, why build a business if, like, I don't believe that you were designed to build a business and then just let it be stagnant. If your recurring revenue is like, maybe you build up your regular revenue is 2 million a year. Are you getting paid well? Yeah, maybe. But like, how do you feel at the end of the next year if you're still at 2 million a year? I don't think we were designed to sit like that. And then when somebody implements EOS and then kind of steps out without purpose beyond that, it can be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, Scott, I like kind of what you said right there. I think that's a key point to highlight. If you're going to step out the business, you need some type of purpose. It's not just to go sit on the beach. Yeah, sure, take your family to the beach. Sure. Enjoy your vacation. But having a purpose to take the company to the next level, or create, like you said, you have multiple brands, multiple companies. Maybe it's a venture into a new industry, or a new company, or a light company, but stepping out with a purpose, I think it's important. I like how you said that.
Thank you, Nick. I have the first company I built in this sector. I tell people I spend no more than an hour a week in it, literally. But the truth of that is now I'm really building higher VP. That's really where my energy goes. You can't have energy in two ways and expect people to follow you both ways. You just absolutely can't. You can die trying, but you're going to give something up somewhere in that journey. So for me, it was like, okay, I have Media Machine, the company sitting here. It's humming along. Leadership's in place. Operations. I mean, it is a machine, you guys. Like, my involvement is so minimal. But the truth is I now at this point either have to bring someone in as a partner or a revenue share, that if I want that thing to continue to grow, but it's going to stay stagnant. And when you have something stagnant, not growing new clients, you're going to have attrition. And then with attrition, it's called a slow death.
Yeah.
And so I have this company right now, because I'm focusing on higher VP, that is experiencing a very, very, very slow death. It's not painful at all. It's very easy to watch happen. It doesn't involve me emotionally, but now I need to inject some life into it, which means another person, because if I were to change my direction, but like, what do we all do? And I made this mistake is you guys may not know this. I sold a business. Actually, I planned to sell a business I was in 2009. I had a buyer for it because I was not spending any time with my family. I had a full-time career as an educator. I was working from about 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. I was doing the grind, if you will, building a business for 5 years. It was a great revenue business. It was bringing in income. I had like 5 full-time employees, and it was good. Except for I looked at my life. Wow, I have a 4 or a 5-year-old. I have no clue how to be a father. My wife and I are kind of living these parallel lives where we're just friends now. And I actually I said, do you want me to sell this? I just had this aha moment. And I'm like, you want me to sell this? I don't know if I should keep teaching or doing the business. Someone told me that teaching was consistent, so I should do that. And I believed them, which was dumb because teaching was not for me. But I stepped out. I actually took on about $350,000 of debt overnight because the buyer backed out the last hour, and I just decided to take on the debt. Right. So I made that decision, but I went from 0 hours with my family to only working with my family. In the life of a teacher, I don't know about everyone else. I was there at 7 and out at 3. I didn't have any work to do at home. It was very cut and dry for me, and I was bored. And so I learned that I was not designed not to do these things. So I put myself in front of my family for all these extra hours that I had. And just because I had time doesn't mean I was using it wisely. I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't know how to be a husband. I was miserable because I wasn't producing. So we have to know ourselves so well before we do a thing or step out of a thing. I know that's kind of the thing here, but so many people talk about exiting their business. I'm like, well, then what? You need to be incredibly intentional as a business owner. You need to spend time with your wife. So you spend time. My belief is you spend time with God first. Your wife is second in line. All right. Notice it's not kids or family. Your wife came, if you're married, guys, your wife or husband came before your kids. Your kids are because of that wife or husband. Now, if you're blended family, like, my theory goes out the window. So I can't speak to that, but then your kids. And I literally had to learn how to do God, my wife, kids, and then work. Those are the types of things you have to do work on before you ever decide an exit plan. So because if you can't manage time with your family while you're working and building a business, how are you going to manage it when you have no time? Because you're going to have all this energy. You just have to know yourself. And there's just so many fallacies out there in the entrepreneurial world of what it looks like to reach the end zone.
Yeah. Look, I've been writing notes. Okay. So I'm going to go back to what you said, like maybe 5 minutes ago. This is a great conversation. And we haven't even got into the meat and potatoes yet, but I see so much here. Like, I'm going to play a little game. I'll play a little game with you and Nick. And I am going to, let's see, I found this a second ago in alphabetical order.
Are we on the same team, or are we playing against each other?
Both.
Because I would choose to be on Scott's team,
So
just FYI.
everything he just said about embodying an entrepreneur, you tied in faith, family in there. We'll get to finance and fitness later because I know you love both of them.
Yep.
But I'm going to list off 12 attributes. You got to tell me where they come from. They're in alphabetical order, and you got to tell me what I'm describing. Scott got to tell me that. All right. So administration, apostolistic, discernment, evangelism, exhortation, faith, giving, healing, helping, hospitality, knowledge, leadership, mercy, prophecy, serving, speaking in tongues, teaching or shepherding, and wisdom.
You want the individual books, or you just want to say the Bible?
What did I just mention?
Yeah, you mentioned characteristics and traits of
Yep.
of God-fearing people
Right.
throughout the Bible.
So 12 spiritual gifts.
Yeah, both old and new.
Yep.
Who did I just describe? Of course, the devil would show up and kill his audio. Who did I just describe? Like, that's an entrepreneur. We just been talking about that. So here's the cheat code. If you want to be a legitimate leader, entrepreneur, a spiritual gift is administration.
Yeah.
Apostle, discernment, evangelism. You better be a brand evangelist. If you can't be a brand evangelist for yourself, you never get your constituents to buy in, much less your customers. Exhortation. Can you love people well? Do you have faith? Are you a giving person? Are you a healer, a helper? Are you hospitable? Do you have knowledge, leadership, mercy, prophecy? That's vision, serving, speaking in tongues. Sometimes you got to use different analogies to get your point across. And then teaching, shepherding, and wisdom. So I think so much of what you said goes back to, gifts from God of being a creator and a cultivator, being an entrepreneur, being a visionary, being the Gaz, the leader. There's so much to unpack. And then you talked about lack of purpose or meaning. When you were teaching, I know that you had relationships with the people you were teaching and your people you would, down the hall, teachers, fellow administrators. But what you're doing now is providing you a much deeper sense of purpose. But what I interpreted out of what you said, as it relates to me, is when you don't have a clear destination, and what I'm saying by when you know, like not just know, when you know, my kids would say that. No, Dad, I know I'm right. Oh, okay. Said it twice, all caps. You know you're right. I felt like for the first 18 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I had a pretty good vision of my destination. But when I got in the right rooms and got around people who made me see the bigger picture and believe and see what possibility was, okay, now I know. I know where I'm going now. Well, what do you leverage to help you get there? You leverage every single thing that you built along the way to get to this point. Look at how good of a communicator and a leader you are now. I have to attribute that to being an educator.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something there for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as an educator, if we're a great communicator, we do a fairly good job. What the world says is that test scores are the fruit that you're measured by. When you get into entrepreneurship, that changes to impact. One of those I want to tote around a lot of it. The other one, the test score thing, that's the worldly view of success. Maybe in business that translates to the bottom line profit or how much money you make or whether or not you have material things. I'm looking at this from the impact perspective. Does that move you or drive you, or are you driven by different things?
Impact's huge for me. Like impact perspective, if that's what you're talking about, is massive for me. I went through a period when I was, and this wasn't very long ago, when I started talking to you about sabbatical. I went through a period where I was not quite sure what my purpose was in the business, like what I was doing. And it really came down to, when I really dug in deep, it's impact. And I have to talk about that on multiple levels. It's impact on my family. So, obviously generational wealth, or bringing that, breaking the chains of poverty and the mindset that's wrapped around that. It was huge for me. That's impact. Showing my boys, my sons, what it means to be successful and create value for the marketplace, and let the marketplace judge you on where you're at, and that's equating to money. That's impact. When I'm able to take my wife wherever she wants to go, when she wants to go, that's impact. And I have future family impacts. But when I am dialed into this year, my goal, and we will do that, is to send in salary $1 million to the Philippines this year. We will send $1 million of U.S.
income,
cash. Yeah,
U.S. cash. Yeah.
And that's in the Philippines, that might be 8 million.
Yeah.
The equation is huge. We're paying more than they could make as a doctor or an attorney that's been working for years in their country. So we're like, that's impact. And then through my daily actions, I am impacting their lives. They're seeing Christ, as much Christ likeness as I can portray with all of my faults. That's impact. And then there's this next level that I learned from my group, and it's Exodus 23:31, and you can interpret this how you want. It says, and I will fix your boundaries from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and from the eastern wilderness to the Euphrates River. And here's where it gets cool. I will hand over to you the people now living in that land, and you will drive them out ahead of you. My impact, that is basically saying, your business has a massive impact. And if you do it the way I want you to do it, I will give you all the land, and I want you to conquer the land. And so for me, I see that as like conquering the land for me. When we do our job right, when we deliver the product right to our client, we make an impact in their business. They're saving money and increasing productivity, or, there's all sorts of. So that whole time that turmoil I was going through all came back to, man, this is, for me, it's all about the impact I'm making. And that's what drives me. And I have that's kind of like my personal manifesto, if you want. These are the things I want to have.
Core values. Core
Yeah.
values.
Well, you know how I feel about core values.
No, and we're going to get to that because I'm going to make you list them out and talk about them again. But
yeah,
that whole segment of what we just talked about, if you will, is, it's kind of started and finished with the relation of our responsibility. If you want a cheat code to how to be a leader, entrepreneur, start with the Bible. I think that's fair. That would capsulate that. And so there's a ton of value in there when it comes to vision casting, to creating a plan, to leading a team, to being honorable, to honoring well. I think those are all key attributes, and that was part of me getting to the no. I'll ask you. So you and I, this podcast is not about us, but back when you were only in marketing and bouncing around, I think I could speak for you by saying you were trying different industries, figuring out where you made the most impact and what made the most impact on you. And there's something here for Scott as well. But when you found this niche and said, is that a point where you said, man, I know, like this is what I want to pursue? Or
yeah, exactly. It became so as owning a marketing company and going out and do like everybody, make the same mistakes, go broad, not go niche, just being a marketer. I decided to go niche on something that I knew, a background that I had in the restaurant industry. And then even going niche brought clients outside of that industry in. And then when I got into the generator, blue collar, and the generator world, I was like, man, I made more of an impact in that. Like I could see the I guess for me it was more like the market share and how to be emerging. You know what I'm saying? Like there are tons of marketers in restaurants need it, new restaurant owners need it, but there's so that has been around, maybe one of the oldest professions, minus a couple, but
selling food, you mean?
Selling food, selling food has been around for a long time, and so it's pretty well established.
We talk about our industry is 20 years old.
Yeah, this industry is 20 years old. It's a new industry. It's something exciting. It's something new. The people that are in the industry, there's not a lot of data that spans years, decades, even. You got
definitely
2 decades
infancy,
of it. And so in the infancy, this is something that really gets me excited because I know we could take existing tried and true practices, but we can also create new practices. We can also create innovation within that marketplace and determine, there's some basics that are run across everything.
No, and I asked that question because there's so much value in what you said and in what Scott said. However, what got Nick excited in this niche is when he knew was when he saw man, this industry is kind of in its infancy. Like there's a lot of runway for growth. So I'm tying this all to say when Scott, we kind of heard a short version of Scott's history, but I really want to use some time to talk about the where we're going moving forward. And so Scott's industry, like ours, I would say is in its infancy stages on a global stage or a
Yep.
national stage. And I'm going to tell a story and I'm going to turn it over to Scott about, I ended the last conversation I said about getting into the right rooms. My relationship with Scott is a product of getting into the right rooms. So while it's not always the value of the content of the room you get in, the relationship value is so thick you can cut it with a knife. And so I got in the right rooms, and maybe I didn't get everything I wanted on what I was pursuing from the content value of being in that room. I ended up with just so happened to be lifelong relationships, life-changing relationships. So as a young entrepreneur or wherever you're at, get in the right rooms of like-minded people. Because the worst thing that could happen is you end up with a life-changing relationship. So Scott owns, I'm going to let him tell it, but it matters on how we met. We met via being in the room through a referral of a mutual friend who said, high level, high character individual, provides a great service, needs a service. Let me slap these two together. I want nothing from that. That really happens in the circles that we roll in. So I meet Scott, like, I don't know, what's a virtual professional, like blah, blah, blah. He met with me, had a friendly conversation where we talked about way more than business, but he figured out who I was and then figured out what my pain points were and then got his team involved. And then they figured out what my pain points were in the business about needing help. They went out and deliver a presentation that was probably one of the best things I've ever seen in business, bar none. What they offer is virtual professionals, people that work from their remote location and help you in your business remotely. The presentation was a video interview of the three candidates, the list of their qualifications adjacent to the video, their internet speed at their local country, their education level, their everything but their personal credit score was on this thing. And so I watched the three videos and I'm like, I gotta get my team. Like, this is measurable, valuable deliverables. So our industry has nothing to do with virtual professionals, but I want to make sure we deliver on that level. We chose a candidate. We interview her in real time, guided by Scott and his team. We onboard her. It's a credit card swipe per month, and she is one of the most valuable pieces. I don't know where we would be right now. I would like to know how regressed we would be from where we are right now without Pal, our virtual professional.
She has done a lot. She has learned a lot.
Sure.
Like that's the beauty of it too, Scott. Just speaking to the quality and the level of people you hire. I mean, maybe Pal's a rock star.
Yeah.
She's definitely a rock star in our opinion, regardless.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe she's the rock star of your team, but she willing to learn, willing to do what's asked. Honest. I mean, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I just got a text from her because we were supposed to have a meeting, and she's already telling me, "Hey, you're late for the meeting. Hurry up your podcast."
But yeah, so we are a success story. Tell everybody watching who is Hire VP and what can you do.
I mean, you kind of just spoke to what we hear often, which is quite rewarding. Is we kind of get into the life of a business owner, find out where their needs are. Because a lot of times they don't know. They just know, I need help. I don't even know. And that's where our expertise comes in. And we hire people that are needed within the organization that can work remotely. We do that almost exclusively through the Philippines because of the desire to learn, the education level, the English proficiency, and loyalty. The culture is a very loyal culture. You guys have seen this. It's a culture of like, I want to learn how to do what you need me to do. And and the value is tremendous. I spoke earlier about the fact that the money that they're making is very impactful, generationally impactful, and being able to work from home in a country, a third world country where traffic, it could take them 1 to 4 hours just to get to work. So we're not a VA company. I want to differentiate. That's why we call ourselves Hire VP, virtual professional. We hire experienced virtual workers for our client, and that can include bidders, estimators, not estimate builders. I don't know the terminology, but we've got 3D CAD folks placed within companies. We've got engineers, structural engineers. We have video editors and content creators, all that kind of stuff. POW's an executive assistant, a very, very impactful role, because typically we search for someone who's an implementer, an integrator, someone who's going to make things happen, and we'll be able to work with a visionary and take the things that need to be moved and move them 3 yards every day. Yep. So that, or 3.3 yards every day. So every week you have a touchdown. So that's what we do. And the limits are kind of like hard to define. We just work with business owners, and business owners. And it can be a game changer for a business. It was a game changer for me. And that's how I got into it, is I hired my own VA from someone telling me, you're too busy. You need a VA. You'll never be successful because it's almost impossible to find a good one. And so that was how this whole thing started. I took that challenge and obviously crushed it, and then saw a service not few months beyond that when I'm talking to business owners, like, I really need that, but I've tried it and it doesn't work. And so we just solve problems for business owners is really what it comes down to. And, it's a full service. So business owners are busy. We don't need them worrying about another payroll to a foreign country. We don't need to worry about bonuses to another country. We don't need to worry about them worrying about how do I send a gift to my person? How do I do a raise? How do I find another person for our team? We take care of everything. So that's what Hire VP is on paper. But I think we're in reality, we impact businesses on a very positive way, financially and ability to scale.
So, love that. I'm looking up some stats right now because I want to kind of expound on some things with people watching who are thinking like, tell me more. So, I have a friend that has a construction company, civil, probably 8-figure top line, but in the civil construction industry, that could still be done by a small crew. 10 to 50 million a year in top line sales, what trickles down to the entrepreneur, as good as your bidders, estimators, and planners are. So that could also come up on you pretty quick if you're really good at what you do. You start a business, if you're really good at what you do, and you have high, you grade very high at one skill level, or whether it be even just marketing, and you're an average in what you do, but you're great at marketing. When you master one skill level, the business will probably come up on you pretty quick. You'll get to a point where it's like, oh my God, it's either grow or die. How do I grow? I can't afford X. Example of a poverty mindset. I struggled with that for years and years. I did not think in abundance, thinking about, give it an opportunity to fester in my mind as a what if. Scott's business can really make that happen for you. And so that construction company, they need a bookkeeper. You've got husband out in the field, killing it every day, running a crew. Wife trying to be mom, business owner. She's trying to cut all the checks and get all the payroll done. Can you help that person? How much does that cost?
Heck yeah. Yeah. So we've actually hired quite a few of those where the wife is doing payroll and HR and bookkeeping and all of that. I'm like, and so I'll talk to the wife and I'm like, I love what I do, but I'm just busy being the mom, and that's really where I want to focus. But I love payroll day, so I still want to do that. So we would literally go and recruit someone who's done HR to that level and bookkeeping. We're looking for someone with a history of doing those and doing them well. My bookkeeping and there's within my family like 5 companies, all being taken care of by a bookkeeper from the Philippines, and it's the best bookkeeper like I've ever had, like bar none. Works harder, everything's done on time, communication is very frequent, like, hey, this what is this, instead of like that month where you get this huge list, I need to know what all these expenses are. That's just BS, by the way. Sorry, I get fired up about bookkeeping. So, we have an initial cost. It ranges, but typically around $1,750. That's how we recruit and what we do and being in our system. And then for someone full time, you're typically running around $1,800 a month, and that's all inclusive. That includes us coaching the VA, supporting the VA, the VP, I'll call them. It includes my support, my team support to you, clients. Like, it's white glove service. So, there's the prices. They range. Skill set will change that range, but when you talk about scaling, a lot of people don't know this. In order to scale, you need to increase your revenue. For every 100% you increase your revenue, you should only increase your cost by 20%. All right. So how do you do that? If you need to keep adding people, you do it by lowering that dollar. Well, what happens when you lower the dollar you're sending to your people? The quality goes down and you can't recruit as well. So this is that piece where if it's a job that doesn't require boots on the ground, you actually can insert that there and increase your scalability. I also am scaling 2 companies right now that have one has over 10 VPs. He's built 2 companies out of the VPs alone. He has a marketing agency and an admin agency built on our staffing for them alone. We don't. So once you're in our ecosystem, we don't charge for extra hires. So we build teams, right? We're like, hey, you need another hire? We're on it. And so, and then I have another one, and he's in New York, and he's like, rent's expensive. We have this beautiful building. I have 15 on-site employees, and we're growing, and we could like double, triple. They're in the high, probably eight figure. He's like, we could double, triple our business. I'm out of space. And he goes, if this goes well, we'll be doing 15 hires this year because everything can be done virtual. So if you think about impact on scaling, and also like, we're outgrowing our business. Like you guys have to have like shop space and such, but it gets expensive. So that's where we're really seeing the biggest impact. And a lot of people are scared. Well, what if they're not working? How do I know they're doing this thing? What are the securities? That's all the knowledge and stuff we have in our head. We have all of that. That's all stuff we help our clients with. And so we take all that friction out of it and just help people produce more in their company.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're in a position where your job and your talent or skill, if you will, is making it rain. If you just revenue is not a problem for you. If you can just get business, I don't care what you're doing. That's always going to be who you are. That's always going to be foundational in your business. What can change is that you can learn to delegate and have other people doing the bean counting, so to speak, mastering the mundane, and give you the opportunity to do what you do best. And that's probably the most impactful thing for me. So I'm speaking to an entrepreneur who is, at that level. This is a super easy solution to a massive problem. So
yeah, man,
Get the right mindset. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just saying, I just want to, it may sound like a plug, and I guess on one hand it is, but on the other hand, like if you're worried about this person doing their work or I can tell you from our experience, we're looking at another one soon, and from our experiences, they are on the spot, letting you know when they're by their computer, clocking in from work every day, 7 a.m. in the morning, getting text message. They respond immediately, like it's on communication apps. I mean, it's just the technology is there, and that person is there. I would venture to say this, and forgive me, our ladies in the office, but our virtual assistant is probably at her desk and more responsive to the people that are actually in the building sometimes.
There's no distractions.
There's no distractions.
There's
And I think
yeah.
that plays into a lot. And then if you're I'm gonna say this, both of you kind of mentioned if your business is scaling, but if you're a small business that just needs help, the cost factor is actually in your favor by hiring the VP versus hiring staff, paying unemployment. I mean, taxes and dealing with all the ramifications that comes with having an actual W-4 employee on the books, or even a 1099 employee. It's a lot easier to hire through Scott.
Hire VP.
Hire VP, man. And like, tell us, Scott, I mean, this probably should come at the end, but as we're talking about right now, like, we got it up here, but what's the best way to get in touch with you or get in touch with your company? Is there a preferred method? If
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, website's awesome. Our website is in transition right now. Might be done by the time this comes out.
I went to it this morning.
It's down. It's hirevp.us. It will be up very soon, but literally I'm on Facebook. That's kind of my job, right? I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Scott Rammage. And that's the best way to get a hold of me, and just shoot me a message. I'm friendly. I'm straight up. I'll get you set up in the direction you need to go. And or reach out to these guys. I'll give them more work. Powell, reach out to these guys. They'll get it to Powell, and Powell will make things happen.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's kind of our magic. Our superpowers are the people we have in play for us, really, quite honestly. So
I'm gonna continue to give more specifics. I want this podcast to be a vehicle to send another $1 million to the Philippines, because I really think our industry needs it. And I'm going to speak into the possibilities so people can really visualize. So Pau, that's her name, P-A-U. Her name is actually Paulina. She goes by Pau. The most important thing, I believe, to a successful relationship with a virtual professional is you got to make them part of your family. You have to intentionally make them part of your life. So Pau not only manages things for 1, 2, 3, 4 businesses. She also will book my travel. I mean, manage my calendar. If I told Pau or remind my wife at 3:33 every day that I love her via text, email, and video, she would do it.
Yep.
Reservations. She answers whether or not you're a fan of that. If you email me, it may be her answering for me. She reminds me of phone calls, emails, podcasts, books, podcast guests, communicates. She's taught herself Go High Level CRM. She builds workflows and Go High Level with the assistance of Nick for a pest control business and a standby generator business. She's the first one to work every day because she tells me in the morning, I'm ready to go at most of the time, 6:55 my time. Mm-hmm. She works my schedule. So she's at night, but she works my schedule. And as an entrepreneur, you're riding around in the truck or you're walking in the office and you think of something impactful. We use Telegram. I send her a voice note of the idea. She tracks it, logs it, puts it into minutes. Every single meeting that we have here, whether it's a 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 10-on-1, 20-on-1, she's in the meeting. She records the meetings. She transcribes the meetings. She takes notes of the meetings, and she sends the tasks out to each employee that they have to do after the minutes. She creates SOPs to where all we have to do is do a video on the SOP. Man, what am I missing? Like, literally anything's possible. And I'm going to say I love office camaraderie. I love having people that work here. But the power of having one member of the team who is undistracted by walk-ins. We have a lobby here. Undistracted by walk-ins. Undistracted by putting out fires. The phone calls for our home service businesses, absolutely. Everybody has to be a receptionist, except Pal. And so that gives her, she is, like you said, 33.3 yards or whatever every day. The ball is always moving forward.
Yep.
She created a document called the end of the day report for our entire company. Everybody fills out completed tasks, what department they're in, what their pending tasks are, what they need help with, and what are their wins for the day, and photo proof of their work that we could use for content and SOPs. So she compiles that data, compartmentalizes it, reminds me every Monday morning of everybody on the team's needs help with tasks so that if I got to fix the problem, it's right there in front of me. She tracks those tasks. All of that data, including our employees' personal information, because their wins are normally with their family, she builds a monthly company newsletter with all of that data, which is forward facing to our clients, and what we celebrate internally, we celebrate externally with our clients, all because of one person who understands what we're trying to build, who is undistracted, available, and dedicated.
Oh, and she edits video too.
Oh yeah, she's a video editor as well. So
Yeah, she is. Pow is upper echelon. I will say. I mean, she's good. She's not alone, which is really great. And we get better and better at finding Pows. Like the thing is where she's amazing is her attention to detail. She's basically a project manager for you guys as well.
Yep.
But her attention to detail, and then her ability to learn new skills and implement them well. And that's a cultural thing. Like there's a huge value in learning. And so we coach everybody we hire for everyone. Like the more valuable you can become to your client, the longer you're going to have a part of their company. You're going to be an integral part that's sticky. So what are we creating? This is one of our core values. What are we creating? We're creating a situation where everyone wins. There's success for it's a win. I call it a win-win-win. We as a company win because our clients are incredibly happy. Our clients win because they're getting so much value like Pow brings. And then Pow is winning because she has a steady income, which is unheard of, and she is making great money, and she is part of something. You nailed it on the head. You treat her like family. Like my team, we are so close, and none of us are close together.
Right.
And it's just insane to watch the culture grow. So that's one of the really big impactful points that I think you guys got right out of the gates, is like, she is a part of the team. She feels like she is part of everything going on. And so she's sold out, man.
Yeah.
She sold out to you, which is really exciting.
I'll tell you guys a story that matters. And if you don't want to hire a VP after this story, man, I don't know. Stay tuned to the next episode. I don't know what to tell you. But so Powell got started in the business, and we threw a lot on her early. That's a visionary thing. A lot of times you throw ideas and things at people, and you see what sticks, and you see what their resilience is, and you see how they deliver, how they respond under pressure. Trial by fire. So she comes into trial by fire. We start throwing things at her. There's a lot of value here if you are an employee at a company. I want to explain leverage. Powell, we gave her a task, which was cold calling. We had our cold calling leads because we were so behind on cold calling leads. Hey, we got a VP. Let's throw it at her. So she takes the job uncontestedly, embraces the job, starts doing the job, improves the job, tracks the job, builds tasks for the job, is very consistent with her note-taking skills. So that goes on for about a month. At the end of a month, I don't remember exactly how the message was relayed to me, if it was from you guys or
I think it was directly from her.
It was directly from Powell. So what she did was scheduled a Zoom call with me. We get on the Zoom call, and simultaneously starting the Zoom call, she emails me basically a letter saying she doesn't want to do cold calls anymore. She wrote a letter of resignation because she thought that portion of the business was so important that she was letting me down and that she was quitting. So she prepared every single document as if I was going to fire her. And I know that's not how she meant it, but she was prepared.
Yeah.
And so we get on the Zoom call and she says, I don't want to, I can't, cold calling does not serve me anymore. I'm not passionate about it. And I can contribute in the following ways, which I have observed in the company is not getting done, so to speak. I can help you in all of these areas. And I could show value there. And so I figure out, I'm not putting words in Pal's mouth, but Americans, we're rude on the phone. So when a Filipino voice picks up, you automatically assume the worst. And it's a human being working for an American company calling to help you get freaking standby power. Come on. So we're trying to help you here. And people are just rude. And so that was tearing her down. And if you go to a boss, any boss, with that level of preparation, respect, you've observed where you can add value and where you can't, and you're willing to stand on that to not do something that's not serving you, I want that employee for life. Like, that's how you do it. So we just pivoted. Okay, no problem. We throw all of these letters of resignation in the trash.
No kidding.
And once we made that pivot, it's been a glaring difference. So the concept of somebody doing a job at any level of business and it be tearing them down, and they choose to just sulk and assume without having the opportunity to talk to somebody and say, this job is not serving me. Here's where I believe I could add value to the team. And this is tearing me apart. So to speak, I'm more valuable than this position. Ball's in your court, bro.
Most guys, much nicer way.
Right. Most guys, gals running organizations going to say, yeah, let's figure out a way to repurpose you.
Yeah.
And we don't get that. It's not very common. So,
no, man. I mean, think about the majority of people you hire who don't feel that the role that they're in is serving them, like in the same situation where they're doing something that they don't particularly like, they don't feel they're valuable at or even accomplished at. And that type of person in our culture is just going to go send like 12 resumes out and start looking for jobs. And next thing you know, they're going to walk out on you, or possibly if they're a real professional, maybe give you a 2-week notice instead of coming and saying, hey, this is where I see I benefit the company the most.
Yep.
You have me here. If you need me in this position, I understand, but I'm not serving you well. I'm going to look for other.
Oh, and the caveat, she said, I will train my replacement.
Yeah.
That's a pretty huge caveat, but that's where he's telling the story of how it take place. But that's even icing on the cake, is like, I'm willing to stay and train my replacement, even though I hate this job. So look,
it's a different culture.
It is. And you know what?
Definitely professional.
Yeah, it's professionals. Yeah. And so I just feel like there could be a negative connotation. You know, people are going to have a negative connotation to hiring someone of a different culture. But I can tell you, regardless of what their nationality is, their, I would say, human culture aligns really well with the desired culture of a business.
Desired culture.
It is.
You nailed it. Yes.
It's an you build a specific type of ecosystem in your business to where everybody wins. And if that's your ultimate goal, is that your employees have golden handcuffs. They never want to leave because we take very good care of them. Well, that starts with a desired culture. You have to desire it. Their life really kind of leans into that naturally. I'm not digging on Americans, but the workplace has gotten lazy in a lot of ways. And I think that it's just reframing your concept. A VP could elevate your entire staff.
Well, I want to touch on something. You said Americans, and Scott, you may be able to speak. I'm going to speak on your behalf and then turn it over to you and let you finish it up. But like the very first thing, a lot of people, man, we are down South Louisiana, you know, America, number one, man, America number one. And so the first thing people may think of is, man, I'm not sending my dollars overseas. I want to keep my dollars here. And the first thing I think of as a rebuttal is, if you hire somebody from another country like the Philippines, one, go through Hire VP, you are supporting Scott and his company, which is an American company. Two,
Yep.
you will have somebody who help your own company grow. So instead of employing 5 people, you now can employ 10, 15 people in your own community
And be more
impactful
impactful.
in your local
Right.
community in America
Yeah.
than you can by hiring 1 or 2 VPs than you would have if you were trying to solve those problems locally.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's a mind shift switch that I want people to try to understand. It's not an anti-American move. It's
No.
it's not a like you can impact your community, your local community, your business, your surrounding much more by having somebody efficient, 1 or 2 VPs, and helping your company grow
Yeah.
than not. And I know sometimes it's just a negative mindset. How do you handle that, Scott? Has that ever been
Man,
something posed to you?
I've done circles around this one and I've thought about it so many times, and I don't struggle with it because, one, as a business owner myself in the US, I am hiring US based team members as well. I'm able to hire more US based team members and more outside professionals to help me build my business better because of that. If I were paying all my team were US based, I would have no money to hire any other company. So I'm not supporting other companies to help me, which is going to throttle my growth. So I'm like, could I even succeed at this at that level? Sure. But it would be at a much different scale. I'd have to change how we did everything. So one, I am bringing actually quite a bit more money into the US economy because of this. Two, I'm hiring people who actually want to work and value work. And this is no cut against generations that we have right now, but there are fewer and fewer people that understand really what it means to work and be committed to your work. That's why government jobs are so highly sought after right now. You clock in, you clock out, you get all these holidays. It's very easy. It's just like ride or die. They're saying right now that we'll pick on millennials for a minute. Millennials are choosing their position. They're turning away advancements at higher rates than anybody ever because they don't want more responsibility. And so work ethic is going to increase, work product is going to increase. Well, what does that do? I said earlier, a rising tide rises all boats or lifts all boats. Well, that work ethic, if you already have a US team, should level up your local team because they're going to see this and that it sets a new standard. So I've gone back and forth with this. I cannot figure out a good argument against it. Especially after I've been impacted so much by that culture and how much they care. Like we don't call, I own Hire VP 100%. We don't call it my company. We call it our company, and they call it our company. So for me, I stopped seeing, and this is so cliche, I stopped seeing that they're from another country. I literally, it's like, that's just my team.
No, true.
And so there is a mindset and then some people just can't get over it, and that's okay. I get it. And that, we have to pick and choose our battles, and that's not a battle I'm really willing to go into. But I see more money coming into the US economy, which is incredibly important, than I would ever be able to get to without my Filipino team.
Sure. I think what it boils down to is you can be super impactful by hiring a ton of staff, local staff. You could also be detrimental by overhiring local staff. But what it boils down to is we're running businesses. The concept, if you will, is to make profit.
Yep.
So when your efficiency goes up and your sales and marketing improves and your dialect for the business improves, naturally your profit should improve. When your profit improves, you, the CEO, and if your company is structured right, even the company, get a say in what happens with that profit. What you have to discern is the company you're dealing with, what are they going to do if that profit is a huge, significant amount of money? Are they going to use it to make local impact? Are they going to use it to employ? Are they going to use it to build infrastructure or to develop the area that they live in, to support youth organizations?
Right.
So when you think about, I'm a consumer, why the hell does the company's core values matter to me? Because here's the hidden secret: our goal is to make profit. And what the internet shows them is the people who covet the profit and have the things.
Mhm.
I believe Scott is a business owner that is gonna the profit is going to be a seed,
Oh
and
yeah.
that seed is going to help everyone in its um, atmosphere.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, if your desire is to make more profit, get more efficient, grow in your dialect, grow in your sales and marketing, bring in people that can help you, let your guard down to a certain extent, and it's going to help you with delegation tremendously because it eliminates also a lot of face-to-face confrontation in your office. I can do a lot of stuff, communicate her via text, and she start to figure me out like AI now, honestly.
Right.
So
It's
I think
scary. I know.
she gets the point as well of the vision, and that matters to her, and the profit and the success of the business. It matters to her, like it would matter to anybody who would be standing 6 feet from you. So regardless of what area, what their geographical location is, it's hard to find people, human beings like that. I want to surround myself with human beings like that.
Absolutely.
I'm not so naive to think that they have to stand on American soil to value what I value and support what I'm after and to learn to honor and to serve. And who am I to say where you got to be planted to be able to do that? So
Yeah.
I think your company lifts a lot of boundaries. So look, if this, man, we're over an hour for sure, but I want to just do a little rapid fire, a couple questions, and
Sure.
then
Love it.
book this again because we could go into a lot more. I want to go into the faith and the family side even more now that we know how you can serve people and how you guys as company can serve people. So I always ask the core values questions. Uh, 5 minutes or less, vision, mission, purpose. That's where we'll start. So
Yeah.
5 minutes or less, vision, mission, purpose for Scott Ramage and Hire VP.
I'm going to go with core values. We spelled out the word sage, which is wisdom. That was on purpose. We kind of learned at my age and my experience that if you operate in wisdom, things go a lot better. And so S stands for success, and that means success for everybody. That is our win-win-win playbook. And so that is incredibly important. A is for accountability and integrity. That's an overused word, but I'll kind of wrap this up in a bow in a minute. G is for growth, and we are designed and positioned and deliver constant growth for our team through education, through opportunities, through coaching, and we are bent on educating and helping our business partners or our clients grow. And then E is for excellence, and this is the how we do anything is how we do everything. So we really dive into these. And so when I talk about my core values, our core values, it's not a poster on the wall. Well, I have it plastered on my wall. My team has it plastered on their wall. We talk about it very frequently. We give examples of it. We lift people up repeatedly. It is a benchmark, a cornerstone, a foundation of our entire company. We live and breathe them. And every decision we make does this align with our values? So the big vision is impact on companies. I don't have my vision statement in front of me and I haven't memorized it, but it is creating an impact, allowing companies to grow and scale with efficiency and professionalism. And my mission is to impact thousands of businesses, and my personal mission goes well beyond that. The revenue, like what people don't know is you might know my big vision, Travis, I probably talked about it, but what I want to do and how that's going to impact community, individuals, marriages, and entrepreneurs is a big driving force of mine personally, and my team knows that. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Um, like I said, core values is a whole nother conversation. But
Oh yeah.
so You mentioned gap in the game. I like to ask guests for book recommendations, 3 to 4 book recommendations for, I guess, one for every area of where, that maybe impact different uh, generations or segments of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, gap in the gain is just an absolute must because it rewires your brain how you should be measuring yourself as an entrepreneur moving through things, because we set goals for ourselves and we don't always hit them, and then we focus on where we're not instead of where we've gotten.
Yep.
And so I'll re-listen to that one every year. I've read it. I've listened to it probably 4 times. It took me a while to really kind of download it, but now it's a yearly thing. Who Not How is like an absolute must if you're a business owner. Same authors, Dan Sullivan, who is the creator of Strategic Coach. He did not write it. His who for his books is Dan Hardy, Dr. Dan Hardy. So Dan Hardy wrote that, but Who Not How is absolutely insanely good. Same author. I'm gonna stick with this. The next one is, once you get to a couple million in your business in revenue, is 10x is easier than 2x, and that talks a lot about some of the content we were talking about. What do you do when you get to a point and you're using and leveraging other people? What does that mean? How does it happen? It's a very deep, hard book to really kind of pull in. I still struggle with it, and I'm working through it because 10xing my business means more impact. I could go on and on and on. I could do all the classics. I read the Bible every single day. Right now I'm on a 1,300, I think 23-day streak. I don't miss it, no matter where I'm at, what I'm doing. And then my week streak, I missed one day in about 6 years right now. So it kind of broke my streak, but I don't think you could do anything better than start your day with the Bible, reading it, because it is the manual for marriage. It's the manual for parenting. It's the manual for business. It's the manual for personal growth. It's just the
Amen.
be all and end all of everything.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, last thing, what's a day in the life of Scott Rammage look like? Talk us through maybe your ideal day or a normal day, wake up at, go to bed at, and everything in between.
I think I'm living, my best life, quite honestly. I get to travel a lot with my wife. I get to travel and meet my entrepreneur friends and have very great relationships. So I'm up at 5, and I literally, this is kind of funny, but most of my day follows my values ladder. So my values ladder being God, then my wife, then my kids, family, work and fitness, or fitness and work. And so finances, if you will. I get up, I read the Bible. I brush my teeth, do the thing, but I read the Bible. I have, some things that I do. I have a very stringent routine. Then I head out the door. I listen to worship music and I pray. I have a prayer walk that I do. It's just infused with tons of gratitude. It's 45 minutes long every day. And I usually carry heavy weight, so a ruck pack or weight vest. Come home, read some emails. I've already kissed my wife. That's really important, is that connection. My kids, my one son that lives with me isn't up yet. And then I do stretching, and then I go work out. So that's lifting weights, running, depending on my injury list at the moment. And then come home, eat breakfast. After that, eat breakfast, kind of settle in. And I'm sitting at my office typically by 9 a.m. and out every day by 3 at the latest. Some days I'll go later, but I'll have big gaps in the middle. That is, and I'm up at 6. I'm in bed by 9.
Yeah.
And I like I said, it's like how you do anything is how you do everything. So by me putting non-negotiables in my day doesn't allow me to go into areas and start acting in ways that don't align with my beliefs and my values.
Sure. Man, I was thinking, after you got through just before breakfast, I was thinking people were probably like, man, I got to step my game up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's 3 hours of time, right?
Sure.
And that's worked for me. And a lot of people ask me what my routine is and how I do my day. I mean, I eat dinner with my family every night, which I think is insanely important. I spend very intentional time with my wife in the evening. and then the weekends are the schedule's a little different. It's more time. Her and I do like an hour and a half rock. We both carry weight, but the thing is I looked at other people's things and tried to copy them, and they just didn't work for me. So this is years in the making of what works for me and what makes me feel like, man, if I don't have anything happening after 9 o'clock, I feel pretty freaking accomplished. I'm like, all right, I've worked out, basically worked out twice, had time with God, had time with my wife, read my emails, did my things, and drank all my water. I also usually drink 80 ounces before 9 a.m. Just so I'm primed and ready to go. So yeah.
So do you give yourself, I know we're close friends on social media as well. We're in a couple of groups together, and I saw you had posted about caffeine, ditching caffeine to do a respect your body check. We call that down here in Louisiana, respect your body. So that's, to me, is a sign of self-awareness. I got a thing going on. Let me stop it and see what happens. Measure the fruit, evaluate, move forward. That's a sign of wisdom and maturity. But take something like that aside in the context of what I'm saying is, do you give yourself some grace with your routine?
Yesterday, I woke up. I have a nasty sunburn. I've spent like no time without my shirt, and I decided I was going to go start tanning, so I'm ready for the Philippines when I go, so I can actually have my shirt off and not look like I'm white as can be under my shirt. And I burnt to the crisp, so I didn't carry a ruck pack today. And I did a run instead of, so no lifting today. I also have a bit of an injury, so I do, and that's incredibly important. My non-negotiables, even when I'm traveling, and you saw this, Travis, because I didn't do all those things when we were traveling, but my non-negotiables are my Bible time, my statements that I read, and verses that I read every single day, and connecting with my family. Those are non-negotiables. And some sort of movement, even if it's to walk.
Yeah, sure. I love that. Man, there's a ton of value here.
We got to reschedule them.
Yeah,
man. We got so much more we need to get out of you, Scott.
We could have some awesome conversations, about a lot of things I think we talked about. So I have a lot of questions for you guys too.
Sure.
Reverse interviewing.
Yeah, dude. We'll get on one. You got a podcast?
It's on hold right now. I need to start her back up. I have 2. So yeah.
Well, let's crack the egg, man.
I know.
Exciting. Let's crack the egg. We'll come on yours and do some cool stuff. So look, thank you, Scott Rammage, man. I know this helped people. If you are interested in hiring a virtual professional, like you said, Scott Rammage on Facebook. We'll put all of that in the show notes. You can contact me. I'll get you in with them. If you want to know more, you want to just ask questions, I'll be glad. Nick, same where our phones are on. Like if you want help, just, hey, what to expect, give us a call. We'd love to walk you through our experience and some tricks. And then he also offers a segment. Is office hours every 2 weeks, Scott?
Typically every 2 weeks, where my clients can just come in and jam and ask questions, and it's pretty awesome actually. When people show up, it's really awesome.
And then do your VPs do that on their own? As far as like Chloe and Zen, how they handle all of the VPs, do they have like team huddles and meetings?
Oh my gosh, more than I ever knew.
Okay.
Dude, they just came to the table to me this week with an entirely new internal product. I had no clue they were working on it. It was a video series for onboarding and trainings. And I'm like, they showed me the final product. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, they're doing all of that stuff. And we have a really insane community amongst our VPs. So
I think that's huge to know. The VP you hire has an elite group of professionals that they're networking with to solve problems. Scott opens up a Zoom call for owners, CEOs, managers to get on and learn how to develop the relationship that we're talking about with your virtual professionals. So hire VP Scott Rammage, a friend, a brother, a mentor. Amazing, bro.
Thank you guys.
I wish you much success.
So much.
And you are the epitome of a prime mover. So thanks for joining Prime Mover Podcast. For Nick, Scott, Travis, go be a prime mover. All right,
Cut,
Brent.
bro.
Cut.
That was freaking long.
Dude, it was long.
It's hour and 23.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I
And
hope
we'll
you guys
probably
are
edit it
scheduled.
down to what, an hour?
Maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
about an hour, hour and 10.
Yeah, Pow's probably like messaging you guys. Where are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. But
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
yeah, I
Appreciate
loved
you
it,
guys.
man. I think that is like, if you say, what's Hire VP about? Watch this podcast. Because I literally had somebody call me yesterday and say, hey, I have a friend who needs a pal. What would be the best way to like get a stubborn entrepreneur to listen to somebody? So now I'm going to text her when this
It's easy this
podcast
way.
comes out, listen to it. And
Yeah.
if you don't want to book a call afterwards,
That's
maybe I
fine.
can't help you.
Then you're really stubborn. That's fine.
Right. That's right.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
Hey,
Scott.
Scott,
Thank you
Oh,
guys.
you'll go ahead.
before you leave, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
hold you much longer, just real quick, and maybe we could set this up, man. Media Machine. I want to know more about it and what you guys do.
Yeah.
'Cause I
I'll be
think-
really quick. It's kind of like a it's a company where our client learns how to submit work. You
Mhm.
submit work, we do it.
Gotcha.
It's a plug and play. You don't have a relationship with the team. They're just doing it. So video editing, content creation, a lot of podcast editing, admin, back office admin, reporting, that kind of stuff.
Can I get a Zoom with somebody on your team? Like, just go to MediaMachine.com, or I'd love to just see if we could use. Gen X might have some abilities to use or needs.
It's super cost. I mean, my highest level product there is $12.99 a month, and that's like, that's 40 hours a week or whatever you have to do.
Okay.
But yeah, you would just do a call with me.
Okay.
That's all I do in the company. That's it.
I got you.
So
Yeah.
prepare some pain points
Yeah.
or some areas of interest and book a call with Scott.
Yeah.
That'll work,
Scott
man.
at mediamachine.info. And then the website is mediamachinevas.com. Boy, we're rebuilding all our web stuff, so I can't. Don't go by that.
No problem, man.
But
But I
yeah.
appreciate you coming on, man. I had wrote that down, put a question mark, like ask more about.
Yeah, it's definitely just like it's a machine. Literally, plug in stuff that you want done, get it back.
Perfect.
So very consistent, very systemized. So it's dialed in. You guys have a great 4th. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate you very much. All right. Bye, guys.